Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Goddard, and I charter the PVPHS NFL Club. We were very fortunate and very grateful to be able to have the legendary Dante Scarnecchia on as a guest speaker today. And this was the interview. I just want to say, Dante, thank you so much for coming on. It was an absolute pleasure to have the opportunity to talk to you, and I think you gave us some really great information and advice. And yeah, thank you just so much. Enjoy the video. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. This is Coach Dante Scarnecchia. Uh, Amazing guy, five-time Super Bowl champion, and Patriots Hall of Famer. Very kind of him to take some time to talk to us today. It's got a list of questions that I gave him in advance, and yeah. Ryan, what's up?
Want me to record for you?
No, I already got it.
No, like you.
No, I got the laptop's with what I said.
No, you want me to record you?
No, you don't need that. I got it. All right, take it away, Coach.
Well, you guys take it away. You said you wanted to ask a number of questions, and you ask them, and I'll talk.
Okay, wonderful. Let me pull these up. Okay, so what's like the story of your career? Like, who are you, basically?
Okay, so like all of you, I grew up in East LA, or I grew up in East LA. You didn't grow up in East LA, but that's where I was raised in East Los Angeles. I went to Montebello High School, and 60 years ago, I was a high school senior trying to figure out what my next move was. I knew I wanted to become a high school teacher. I wanted to teach history. I wanted to teach PE. And more than anything, I wanted to be a high school football coach because those were the guys that had the biggest impact in my life to, uh, to that day. Okay. As far as being a senior, I mean, I just love these guys. I love the way they coached. I love the game of football. And I just thought to myself, hey, I want to be just like them. And that was my passion at that time. And when you have, and all of you at some point are going to be faced with the same situation. What do you want to do? What do you want to be? What steps? And then the most important thing is what are the steps you have to take to get you there? So for me, the steps I had to take were simple. I had to graduate from high school. I had to go to college. I had to get a major in something that I was really interested in teaching, which for me, which was history. And then I had to spend another year getting a California state teaching credential. All right. And to do all that, I went 2 years to a junior college. I transferred to a school in San Diego, a small college. I played 4 years of college football. And then I went right into coaching after that. After I got my teaching credential, I went to coaching. But what was unique for me, I never coached a day in high school. And the reason is when I got my teaching credential at that time in California, they froze all hiring of secondary and elementary school teachers in California. I couldn't get a job. So I stayed in college for another 12 years as a coach at four different schools. And as we moved around the country and ended up with my last stop at Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas. And from there, I don't know how to explain it any other than this. The head coach who I worked for at SMU got the Patriots job, and he asked me if I'd come up to the Patriots with him and be an assistant coach there, and I did, and we did, my wife and I, and that was in 1982, and I've been here in New England ever since, all with the exception of 2 years when I coached for the Colts, and that's my coaching story.
Wow, that's really inspiring. The way that's wonderful. What position did you play in high school and in college?
Okay, in high school, I was a linebacker. I weighed 195 pounds. I was a linebacker and a center. And when I went to junior college, I was a center for 2 years at Taft Junior College, which is up by Bakersfield. And then when I transferred, I ended up in Cal Western University in San Diego, and I ended up playing guard, and I weighed 188 pounds. I was actually lighter than I was in high school. But at that time, that was a long time ago. You could get away, especially at, you know, lesser than Division I schools, you could get away with smaller linemen, and it was perfect for me. And I look at, I loved every second of it. I played as long as I could play, and then from there I went into coaching, and my life's been all about football forever.
So in that first couple of years, um, was it hard getting because you didn't have Bill Belichick until he got hired in 2000, if I'm correct,
1999.
1999. What was
Yeah,
it? What was it like working under Bill Belichick?
it was great. When you look at Bill and see him on TV, you say, boy, this guy's a real, I don't know how to say it, but he was an asshole. So, but you know what? The one thing about, I worked for two really hard coaches, guys that everybody thought was hard to work for, Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick. And to me, they were the easiest guys to work for because you always knew what they wanted. You always knew how they wanted things done. And if you did them that way, they never had a problem with you. Okay. And so to me, that makes it easier as opposed to a guy that never tells you what he wants
Yeah,
and never is really concise and absolute about things and waffles about everything. Those were the two easiest guys to work for. So I loved every minute of working for Belichick, and I loved it with Parcells and other guys that I've worked for. And I think they're certainly great coaches.
wonderful. That's amazing. It's really inspiring. Like I love Bill Belichick. He's one of the greatest of all time to do it, and to know that like it's exactly like how he is on TV. I mean, he is hard, but he's fair. You know what he
Yep.
wants. So that's wonderful.
Let
Um,
me tell you one other thing. Parcells got up in front of the team at our first team meeting, and he said something that wrote it down, and it has been something that has motivated me ever since. And he said this. He says he got on a whiteboard with a black felt pen, and he wrote one word on the whiteboard, and he wrote it in big letters. I mean, they were 6 inches high. He wrote one word: conflict. And I'm sitting way in the back of the room, and I'm taking notes, and I'm thinking, oh boy, this is going to be big, man. Because if you've ever seen Bill Parcells on TV, he's yelling at everybody. I
yeah,
mean, you talk about conflict. This guy's all about conflict. But his message to the team about conflict was basically this. He says, fellas, let me tell you what conflict is. Okay. It's if you lie to me, or if you may fail to meet my expectations of you, I'm going to be in conflict with you. So don't lie to me and don't fail to meet my expectations, and you'll never have a problem with me. And then he said this to the team, and it works both ways. If I lie to you, or I fail to meet your expectations of me, then you should be in conflict with me. And if you think about that, if you don't lie or you do your best to do everything that's expected of you, you're not going to have problems with anyone. So don't lie and try to do your best all the time. And I've said that to every group that I've coached since the day that Bill had said it to us. And it's been one of my mantras, if you will, in coaching.
that's that's extremely powerful. I've never heard anything like that. That's thank you for sharing that. So I guess moving on for in case in conflict, how do you deal with players who would bumped heads with you during practice? Because these are huge guys.
Okay. I'm going to ask, this is for everyone. Anyone that thinks they can answer this question, go ahead and answer it. I said, what do you think is a coach's job? Let me just say this. It's the same as a parent, as a teacher, as an administrator, anything. If you're in the process of being a high level, if you will, person that runs a business or anything, what do you think your number one job is? Dealing with people. Anybody? All right, I'll tell you. tell the truth. Tell the truth. If they're not practicing the way that you want them to practice, or your kids aren't behaving the way that you want them to behave, or the guy that's supposed to be go see these three people to sell whatever it is that you're trying to get them to sell, they don't do it, then that's fair. Then you got to tell them that what they're doing isn't what you want them to do. You got to tell them the truth. If they're not practicing the way I want them to practice, if they're not giving the effort that we need them to give, I'm going to tell them the truth. But if they are, I'm going to tell them the truth. Boy, you guys are working hard today, and I love it, and keep doing it. And if you keep doing it, we all got a chance to have a good team around here. That's the truth. And it's the same thing we should do as parents all the time. And really, it's you guys, you kids, you young people is a better way of saying it, to your parents. It's the same thing. It works both ways.
Thank you for that. The Patriots are said to have some of the highest work ethic, especially during the dynasty. I mean, of course, you and your players and Bill Belichick were all such hard workers. But Tom Brady, especially, he was a very hard worker. He was very dedicated to the sport of football. I just wanted to know, what influence did Tom Brady have over the way you coached the offensive line?
He really didn't have much influence other than this. We knew we had a really good quarterback, okay? And if we would give him the time in the pocket that he needed, okay, or he expected of us, because he had expectations of us as well, all right? And we had expectations of him that if we did what we were supposed to do and give this guy enough time to do whatever it is he needs to see down the field and get the ball to the right guy or call the right plays, whatever it is. Okay, if we did what we were supposed to do, then we knew he would make his job a lot easier. So there's a great thing about having a quarterback like him as part of your football team, but the expectations that that we have to have of ourselves to do everything we can to keep him upright in the pocket and make his job easier, that's what's really important. And, we always strive to do that because we knew if it came down to, where we got to play our best and so he can play his best, that we'd have a chance to win if we did that.
Thank you so much. So you're known for helping players reach their full potential. You're famous for that. What do you look for in a player to get to that point?
I think the guy I think he's got to be attentive in meetings. He's got to pay attention. All right. And guys learn in different ways. I've had numerous players that would fill notebooks of notes that they would take relative to our meetings. Ted Karras, who's been in the league 11 years as a sixth round draft choice from Illinois, that guy, he's got a box full of spiral notebooks in 6 years that I coached him. Okay. And guys learn in a lot of different ways. And so I just think that, when the guys that you're coaching are driven to pay attention and get all the finite points and do everything they can to be the best players that they can possibly be and take coaching on the field and take the corrections in the meetings or take the corrections on the sideline and take them to the field so that they can get their best work done. And they listen to the guy that's coaching them because he's telling them the truth, all right? No matter how harsh it's going to be, that I think that then they have a chance. The other thing, honestly, MJ, is I really believe this. Coach them all. I don't care if they're a third stringer or a pro bowler. You coach them all. You coach them all to be the best players they can be, to get the most out of themselves that they can, okay? And you tell them the truth all the time. You do everything you possibly can to give them every tool that they have, to use every tool that they have to be the best player that they can be. And that's what I think is really important.
Thank you. In addition to that, you said coach them all, and we've seen some of the new players had a little bit of a rough start this year.
I want to talk about Will Campbell. What was your reaction to his performance in the playoffs?
I think he really struggled, and I'll tell you, I would imagine he would tell you the same thing. I don't think this guy. I've never met him. I've never talked to him. Okay, um, but I would honestly say that he can't be very happy with the way he played. And but what are the reasons for that? I don't know. You know, he came off an injury, played the last game of the season, then went right into the playoffs, really against four really good defensive teams. So I don't think that was helpful because
Yeah.
the reality of it is before he got hurt, somewhere around the 14th week, you know, he was, or the 13th week, he was playing pretty good. And
Yeah,
then all of a sudden, you get into the playoffs and things are a lot different. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and hope that, you know, the Will Campbell that we'll see the next version this in his second year will be much better than what we all saw towards the end of the season. And because I know he can't be happy with that. You know, just hearing the things the guy has had to say about how much respect he has for the NFL and his job within the NFL. I'm sure we'll see a different player, and I wish him nothing but the best.
thank you so much. And one last question for me before I let everyone else ask questions. Um, you were with the Patriots since the 80s. When did you realize that you had a dynasty? That you were part of a dynasty?
You know, I honestly, that word never ever came up until after I was long gone, and people started talking about two dynasties, early 2000, and then what happened in the later decade after that, you know, the 14, 16, 8, whatever it was, the years we went to the Super Bowl and the playoffs in that amount of time. We were really fortunate. You know, we went to 11 Super Bowls with the Patriots. I went to 10 of them. Um, and, you know, for a long period of time, we were able to have a good football team, but no one was ever satisfied unless you won the last game that anyone plays in the year, which is the
Right.
Super Bowl. If you don't win that game, it's just what it is. It may have been a good year, but it's not what we were all after. And I think that the standards were so high all the time that anything less than the best was unacceptable. And you know, so you know, people talk about those years and all that, and I think it's great. And certainly it was great to be part of them. And honestly, in my wildest of dreams, as a 12 years in college and then going into the NFL, you know, I never thought that anything like that would ever happen to me. And I'm grateful for every game that I was able to coach and every, you know, AFC East, AFC, and ultimately the Super Bowl that we were able to be a part of and win. So I'm humbled by it. I was grateful for it, and so always a lot of pleasant thoughts there.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna transition to the rest of the room. Does anyone here have any questions? Let's start with you, Cash, in the back. Please be loud so we can hear you.
Hey, there was a player, I don't know if you coached, his name was Matt Light, offensive tackle. I want to know, how was his work ethic and how was he as a person? I hear a lot of stories about him, and you might have been his O-line coach. I don't know. Matt Light.
Yep. Okay. I'm going to tell you. Here's the first story that you probably never heard about Matt Light. Matt Light played at the University of Purdue. He was a good player. And we looked at Matt, and he was a left tackle. And we said, you know, I really like this guy, and I think he can be our left tackle. And, but no one in the league thought he could be the left tackle. You know why? Because his arms were too short. That sounds familiar. So, but we put him at left tackle, and he was okay, and he was fine. And but we drafted him, and we got him in the second round, which is unusual to get a left tackle that you think is pretty good that late in the draft because everybody wanted him to play guard, and about that place would have been a good chance to take him. So we drafted him in the second round. We brought him to the Patriots that day. the first day of the draft. And I went in and Bill told me, get him, start teaching him the playbook and see what this guy is all about. So I went in there and I introduced myself to Matt because I never really had met him. And I said, he said, the first thing he says to me, and this is typical Matt Light, he says, hey, coach, he says, I got to tell you something. I really want you to know this. And I said, well, what's that, Matt? He says, coach, I got narcolepsy. Does anyone in that room right there know what narcolepsy is? Narcolepsy is when you have a tendency to fall asleep at any time, like in that classroom you're in. Or he would tell me to say, coach, I can fall asleep anytime. I fall asleep in the classroom. He says, you know, I may be just laying on the grass out in between in the quad and miss a class because I fell asleep. He says, coach, I could even fall asleep in my car when I'm driving. I said, Matt, let me tell you one thing. You'd be a lot better off falling asleep in your car than you would falling asleep in my meetings. And I cured him. I cured him of his narcolepsy because I wouldn't let him fall asleep in my meetings. I made him sit right in front of me, right where I could reach out and grab him if I saw his head nod. And that's Matt Light. Matt Light was a really good player, dedicated to the game, but he liked to have a lot of fun. And that's okay. He used to play pranks on all the players. In fact, he got Brady's car, and he had some guy. He got Brady's keys to his car, and while we were in meetings, and he had some guys fill the whole thing up with those styrofoam peanuts, the whole car. Okay, and that because that's Matt Light, big jokester. Well, you see, the thing he didn't realize, Brady has a lot more money than he does. So the next day, Light goes out to his car, and all the tires are missing. They're all the whole car is sitting on jacks, and all the tires are missing. But that's Matt Light, good player, played 11 years. He's in the Patriot Hall of Fame, deservedly so. All right, he just liked to have fun as well as play the game. And when the bigger the game, the harder he worked and the better he prepared. Next question.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question? Ryan, what's up?
In your years of coaching, what was your favorite position to coach and your favorite player from that position?
My favorite position to coach was the offensive line, which I did for a long time. And I loved it because I played it and all that. And, but favorite players, I always shy away from that one. I've coached so many good players. And I think to name one would be to probably leave a lot of them out. And they're all favorites for a lot of different reasons. Some of them because they have rare skills. Some of them because they were tougher than nails. And you couldn't get them to back down from anything or anybody. I mean, I was so fortunate to coach a lot of really good people and a lot of really good guys. And I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, anyone else? Yes.
When the Patriots drafted Tom Brady, when did you know that he was the guy, and what was your initial thoughts on him?
You know, we drafted him in the 6th round in it was 2000, I think, 2000 draft. And, you know, it was 1999 was our first draft. And, you know, he was a 6th round draft choice from Michigan, tall, linear, which is a nice way of saying kind of skinny looking. Couldn't run out of sight in 5 days. If you told him to start running on the Bonneville Salt Flats, in 5 days you could still see him, okay? Because he just wasn't very fast. But the thing about him is that, you know, his work ethic was like no one's. And when his second year came and Bledsoe got hurt and Tom took over as quarterback, and we went and beat the Rams in the Super Bowl and all the rest of it, then you knew he had the job. And you just saw it, as it kept going, you knew that there was greatness in this guy. But the one thing I always would say about Tom is when we went to Super Bowls, no matter how great or glamorous they are and how much is going on, his focus was laser focused. He was in his room at night or in a meeting room with our offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels, or Charlie Weiss, or any of them, going over the game plan every day. He never missed an opportunity to study and be the best player he could be. So as it went, we all knew we had something special there.
All right, anyone else got any questions? Cash, another question.
I have a question. The Patriots recently had a really bad Super Bowl loss. They signed Romeo Dobbs. Will this help the wide receiver room? Was that a good signing?
Well, in their mind, it was Cash because, they got the guy on the first day of free agency. And so they must have some things about him that they really like. And, they have some holes at that position that they need to fill. And this is one way to fill them. You help yourself roster wise in the NFL through the regular draft, free agency, signing a free agency, picking guys up off the waiver wire. All those are tools that you can improve your football team. And this is the first guy that they signed. So hopefully it'll help them.
Thank you.
Okay. We only have time for one more question. So Coach, if you don't mind, what's your message to us? Like, if there's one thing that you could say to us that you can leave us with, what would that be?
I would say this, that not all of you are going to, I don't know if any of you will ever be a football coach. I don't know if any of you will ever play professional football, but I know that all of you have dreams, okay? Whatever they are, all right? Whatever they are. The way you achieve your dreams is you figure out the way to do it, okay? For me, 60 years ago, I knew I had to graduate from high school. I had to go to junior college because we didn't have money to go to a big school and an expensive school. All right. I knew I had to get a Bachelor of Arts degree, a teaching credential, all right, to get the things that I wanted to get. And I got them all. And I never coached one day of high school football. But the road that we choose in life has a lot of detours and a lot of curves to it. And keep your eyes laser focused on what you want and the best way for you to get there, because you can get there. And you know what? Sometimes you just go different places. But be a great worker, do what's asked of you, ask a lot of questions, and put a full day's work in for a full day's pay. You'll never regret it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Coach.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. Anytime, MJ, you know that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate it, man.
All right, take care.
You too. Have a great day.
Thanks a lot.
Of course.